As far as I'm concerned, I believe in democracy. Democracy consists of people voting for a given mandate. The mandate, which has been given to me by the French people, and by no one else, is a mandate that will be carried out through to the end of its term, in accordance with the commitment I made to the French people, even with all due respect to those who have been defeated several times in these same elections. So, I want to believe that the work that the Prime Minister, François Bayrou, will carry out in the coming days will help convince people that even if there are disagreements on technical measures on the budget, because everything is obviously up for discussion, even if there are disagreements on this or that solution, there can at least be ways of agreeing on the findings. I also note that on the other side of the Rhine, in Germany, it appears that a conservative party and a socialist party are able to work together on common findings. They have differences, but they find common ground through discussion. Finally, they still have a common view on, so what the Prime Minister is proposing is not totally crazy, it exists not so far from home, and it works, so I think it's possible. This peace is what we want. It is what the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, also wants. And I say this with all the more force and solidarity after these last few days when attacks have resumed with force, in a way that is also unprecedented in recent months, when Ukrainian civilians have once again been affected, and where, as we can clearly see, the gap between the positions taken at international summits or with other leaders by Russian President Vladimir Putin and the reality on the ground shows how insincere he is. The next few days will be decisive, marking the end of the period we had given ourselves with U.S. President Donald Trump and President Zelensky to secure the first meetings. And we will continue to exert pressure for additional sanctions to be taken by ourselves. And we are ready for this, but also by the United States of America, to force Russia to return to the negotiating table, while at the same time, we must contain our support for Ukraine. I deny these descriptions. I am never rude or vulgar. But when we say that there is an ogre at the gates of Europe, an image that has been adopted by many, I believe that it describes what Georgians, what Ukrainians and many other nations feel very deeply, that is to say, a man who has decided to move towards an authoritarian, autocratic drift and to lead a revisionist imperialism of international borders. At the end of the long meeting we had together a few weeks ago in Washington, the call resulted in this proposal from President Putin to President Trump. I'm going to see President Zelensky. If that's not met by Monday, the deadline that had been set by President Trump, I believe that once again, it will mean that President Putin has played President Trump. I think that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for all of us, and so it can't go unanswered. We are determined to jointly defend legislation and the digital sovereignty of our Europe. There is no doubt about it. Regardless of recent comments, our two countries will work on a new trade policy agenda for the European Union to diversify our partnerships and value chains, while strengthening European competitiveness and ensuring truly fair and equitable conditions of competition.